some patients experience blurred vision or a condition in which blood flow to the eyes is blocked. This class of medications has also been linked to an increased risk of developing wet macular degeneration. However, Dr. Nazanin Barzadeh, a retina specialist at New York Eye and Ear Infirmary, says the overall health benefits of GLP-1 drugs outweigh these risks. She also says patients who use these meds to control their diabetes should see their ophthalmologist to monitor their eye health. I'm Jim Roop.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Nevada AG Aaron Ford spent over $410,000 on travel since 2019, including luxury trips, prompting criticism. His office says it was for official business, and he's under an ethics investigation. The founder of a Texas megachurch is out of jail after serving 6 months for sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl in the 1980s.
Robert Morris was released from jail on Tuesday in Oklahoma, where he committed the crimes more than 4 decades ago. He'll also be on the hook for $270,000 in restitution to the victim, who called him a pedophile disguised as a preacher. Morris, who once served as a spiritual advisor to President Trump, founded Gateway Church outside of Dallas back in 2000. I'm Michael Kastner.
Tiger Woods says he's stepping away for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on his health following last Friday's rollover crash in Florida.
Woods released a statement on his X account saying he was committed to taking the time needed to return in a healthier, stronger, and more focused place, both personally and professionally. The golf icon pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor DUI charges related to the crash Tuesday. Woods has been charged with driving under the influence with property damage and refusal to submit to a lawful test. He waived his arraignment hearing, which was scheduled for April 23rd. Woods was arrested after the crash near his home on Jupiter Island and released hours later. I'm Matt Mattinson.
I'm Ron Warner, USA Radio News.
You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle. Call 800-209-4580. For 24-hour response, call 800-209-4580. That's 800-209-4580.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's Dependable Lock Services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace, Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to truckersunitedforfreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong. Mammoth Nation.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Gorton.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives. It is another Wednesday night. It's kind of cool out tonight. Hope everybody's enjoying it. Well, we got a full house tonight. Todd McKinley and Chris Wyatt both are here. So, gentlemen, how are you doing?
Well, John, I got to say, I'm doing pretty well, but America's doing well. Once again, finally, after nearly 60 years. Do you not hear me? Do you not hear me?
Nope,
hello?
I'm not hearing you, Chris. What's going on here? Chris, can throw a hand up if you can hear me.
Yep.
All right, you can hear me. I'm not hearing you, so boy. Okay, right. Chris, just go ahead and lead off with it, and I'll play with this until I get you in.
Well, let me see if the audience can hear me. Yeah, the audience can hear me, so I'm going to keep talking. Let's let John Grosvenor work on that. I'll send him a quick note here. Something on his end he can't hear. All right, so the audience can hear me. Oh, man. Okay, so audience can hear me, and we can also hear him and you. Okay, so we'll keep this going here. Sorry, folks, technical problems. All right, let me just make sure I can still hear myself over here. All right, good. Well, let me just go ahead and get started with the news here, folks. United States, a proud moment for the United States once again. For the first time in nearly 60 years, we've launched a mission to the moon. The Artemis 2 mission is en route. Just a short time ago, about a half hour ago, I covered it live on my program on YouTube. The spacecraft, the Space Launch System, SLS, took off from the Cape Canaveral there in Florida. And what an incredible sight it was. 4 astronauts, 3 Americans, 1 Canadian, now on their way to an orbit around the moon and then back to splashdown. 10-day mission, kind of a proof of concept on this one. They've never used this system. It's all disposable. Cape Canaveral there in Florida. And what an incredible sight. Now I'm hearing a feedback. I'm hearing myself from John there. Yeah, we can all hear that. They've got some serious issues here. Okay, I don't know what you're doing, John, but we can hear me twice now.
Sorry, man. I was trying to get some sound in here to the terrestrial station, and I guess that's not working well for you.
All right, we can hear you, John, and we can hear myself. I don't know if you can hear me. Right.
And I told Johnny that there wouldn't be any dead air, Johnny. No, I'll be in there tonight, and everything will work out just fine.
There's no dead air. I'll keep talking, but hopefully we can get this sorted out in the studio.
I'm trying to figure out what's going on with this board because
I don't know where Todd is.
And I know I can see on my studio here on the computer that Chris is here. His volume is up. He's not muted. I know he's not muted because you can hear him on the webcast. Oh man.
All right, so I'm trying to send John a text message, let him know that they can hear you. Anyway, back to what I was trying to say, folks. The Artemis 2 mission is launched. It's up there.
I'm not sure where to go with this right now, Chris.
We're on a 10-day mission to the moon and back. It's an incredible journey. Also tonight, President Trump will be speaking on Iran at 9 p.m., less than 2 hours from now. I'll be going to that live from this broadcast, going right from here to my YouTube program, where I will be running that discussion and listening to President Trump with live commentary and reaction as that goes forward. A lot happening around the country, from the Boise mayor being forced to take down a pride flag to Nancy Pelosi's fear-mongering, trying to frighten people that Republicans are going to hack voting machines. The left is losing its absolute mind this evening, the 1st of April. And folks, these aren't April Fool's jokes. Everything I've told you is real. It's not made up. I'm not pranking you. Nobody's punking you. It's all just the reality of what's happening tonight in the United States and around the world. But the exciting thing is the Artemis 2 mission finally, after decades of waiting. As a young man, as a little kid, I thought we'd be going to the moon on a regular basis. But in fact, it's been 60 years since we made this effort. It's shocking that we finally got NASA off its backside. I will say this, that SpaceX is much better prepared for what they're doing. SpaceX, when you watch SpaceX, their launches, they have much better telemetry, data, and information, and give you the timelines for sequences. Like, for instance, MECO, main engine cutoff, or SECO, secondary engine cutoff. They'll give you at what stage of the flight that's supposed to happen. NASA didn't do that. Left the audience wondering, and you scratch your head, when is it going to happen? They really need to learn how to do better public relations, which is shocking. You think they have great public relations. Also, it'd be nice if it was actually a man involved in it. It's the all-female crowd of that show. But that's how NASA does things. That's how they roll. They promote only women in the public relations roles and leave men off the scene, which is very embarrassing, to say the least. But anyway, a very impressive launch. It was pretty fun to watch and exciting to see the incredible power of the thrust that took place as this spacecraft with the Space Launch System, the SLS, lifted off from the pad. So many millions of pounds of thrust, and you could just hear it, even dozens of miles up into the atmosphere and into space. You could hear the thrust, the explosions of the fuel igniting and burning as the thing launched like a Roman candle into space. They're now in space, and they should have had the solar arrays just spread out on the ship by now. We're hoping that's the case. President Trump today also did something that, to our knowledge, has never happened before. A sitting president went to the Supreme Court to hear a case. This, of course, is the Birthright citizenship. It's probably the first ever for Chief Executive President Trump going to the Supreme Court to hear the case. He fielded questions from press after signing executive order about mail-in voting. And when he's asked about today's scheduled oral arguments before the High Court regarding the previous executive order being challenged, he told Fox News' Peter Doocy, "And I'm going." "You're going to go to the Supreme Court?" the White House correspondent asked, and he said, "Just sit there and listen." "I do believe," continued the president, "because I've listened to this argument for so long, this is not about Chinese billionaires, the billionaires from other countries who all of a sudden have 75 children or 59 children in one case, or 10 children becoming American citizens. This was about slaves. And if you took a slaves, we're talking about slaves from the Civil War." Yep, that's right. Trump is 100% correct. And these people have been stealing our sovereignty by having anchor babies dumped in this country. And this must come to an end. Hopefully the court will find to that ruling, although I don't have a very strong feeling based on the oral arguments that I listened to earlier today. The court didn't seem to be convinced of much of anything. It was very confusing. And the Solicitor General was very disappointing in his arguments before the court, in my personal view as a layperson. Yeah. Anyway. Excuse me, back in his first day in office last year, President Trump signed a whole bunch of executive orders, including one titled "Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship." That was aimed at clarifying the intent of the 14th Amendment. Of course, the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were related to slavery. 13th ended chattel slavery on the 6th of December, 1865, when the majority of states not in rebellion voted to enact that constitutional amendment that ended slavery in this country. December 6th, 1865, not Juneteenth. That's bogus, made-up, fictional fantasy of race-hustling leftist idiots and historically retarded people who don't know the history of this country. So December 6th, 1865, followed up by the 14th Amendment, which granted citizenship to the former slaves and the offspring of former slaves. And then later came the 15th Amendment. So, yeah, the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, which were key amendments to the Constitution to ensure that the institution of chattel slavery did not continue and that those people became citizens. But the thing you heard earlier about wealthy foreigners and Chinese, the Wall Street Journal reported in December that Chinese billionaire Zhu Bo is said to have fathered, through surrogacy, more than 100 children, anchor babies in the United States. It's unbelievable what the Chinese and others have been getting away with. Nigerians for decades in this country, stealing our sovereignty and cheapening our citizenship. And the fact that the federal government is allowed and the courts have allowed it is disgraceful. They've cheapened what we earned, what we fought for, what we deserve. It's unbelievable. Well, are my co-hosts back? Let's see what's going on.
Yeah,
There's
I'm back.
Todd.
Sorry about that.
No, that's all right, Todd. Well, John is having problems, man. Let me make sure I can hear you on the broadcast. Hang on. Go ahead. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, you and I are live on the broadcast, as was John, but he can't hear us in the studio. I don't know what the deal is, so I guess it's up to you and I to cover this for a while. But Todd, I don't know how much of that opening monologue that I inherited from John. It's his show tonight, but how much of that did you just hear? Did you hear the Artemis 2 mission and the rest, or what did you catch?
No, none of it. I watched the liftoff, actually, a video of it after the fact. I missed it live, but I had to go outside. I got an awning on my deck outside, a little outside patio. And we have some shingles that came off, so I had to tack some stuff back on before it rains here. So that's why I had to step away for a few minutes there. So I hate I missed your monologue.
Oh, so you missed everything I just said.
Yeah, sorry.
That's too funny.
It sounded good. But it sounded
yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. Stroke my ego. That's not gonna work. I'm just back from Las Vegas just a couple hours ago, early this morning, and I haven't even been back 12 hours, and I've already done 3 broadcasts, and here we are on the 4th one today. Yeah, it was. I took the red eye. It's kind of nice to take the red eye. I left 11:30 out of Vegas, and very comfortable Airbus A319, I think it was. I had a exit row seat, which was very handy, and because the exit row seat had good leg room and it's comfortable for the flight, went very fast, and then got to Philadelphia and took the short, hour scheduled but 20-minute flight, and got here in 20 minutes. And then so it's been a busy day. How about yourself there, Todd? Are you? By the way, I know the county you live in, but I met some people from East Tennessee at the airport yesterday, and I couldn't think the town you live in.
Yeah, Sullivan County is named after
John
Sullivan, who had been the New Hampshire president for 2 terms. Who obviously they now call him governor. So it's named after a minor Revolutionary War founding father, if you will, a General John Sullivan.
All right, I couldn't remember the county. I know it's not a heavily populated county, as I recall, but
175-ish thousand, something like that.
I think that the family I met are from Carter County. Does it sound right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Neighboring county. Yeah,
that's what I thought. That's right. You live near Sevier.
Yeah. Sevier's about an hour away, roughly.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I had a senior moment, brain cramp. Couldn't remember. I said, he just lives in East Tennessee. He doesn't marry his cousin. That's all I know.
Nothing wrong with that. I see John's off the phone.
Nothing wrong with marrying your cousin. Is that what you said?
A lot of things wrong with that.
Yeah, that's what I said. No, I said to him, he just lives somewhere in East Tennessee. Don't worry, he doesn't marry his cousin.
No. Yeah, we're civilized up here. So.
All right. Well, John is trying to sort out the issue. John cannot hear us in the studio. I sent him a text message, but we could hear him in the air. So he's trying to. I'm like, okay, don't do the engineering on the air because you're stepping on the broadcast. But anyway, the Trumpster will be talking at 9 p.m. tonight. You want to put odds or bet on whether he's going to give a deadline when it's going to end or call it off tonight? I mean, what do you think is going to happen?
Who knows? Maybe he's going to threaten escalation. I'm not sure what he's going to say. It may be one of those things that a deal has been reached, perhaps. I hear that the Iranians are at the table, so maybe there's some deal that's going to be reached where there's going to be a ceasefire and a cessation of hostilities. I don't know. We'll see.
I think what's happening here in Iran is that we don't know who's in charge. I think the Trump administration is negotiating with some Iranians who think they're in charge, and other Iranians think they're in charge, and they're denying that there's any talks going on. They're denying that they've asked for peace. So whatever happens, I think that ending it now is premature. When this thing kicked off, I said that it should be a 6-week conflict, and it'll be over. We're in week 5. And I think we need to go 6 weeks to get all the targets destroyed and reduce the ability of this military to threaten its neighbors and fire missiles at them, not just nuclear, but also with standard kinetic sort of munitions. And I don't think we're there yet. So I see no reason to end it. In fact, I would have taken Delta and taken SEAL teams, and I would have flown into and Hughes 500 MD-500 helicopters in the dark of night with night vision goggles, occupied Karg Island, rounded up all the technicians, and then flown in a Ranger bat or a Marine battalion from MEU to occupy the island and shut down all their economic activity. Well, they would have starved to death by now. That was what I would have done. But apparently it's not politically palatable for the administration to put troops on the ground. But they want to give the impression they're going to put troops on the ground, whether they do it or not. So what are your thoughts on that? Should we have taken Karg Island, or is Trump got the right approach?
No, that seems to be an idea that could have probably worked. Maybe you should be on the National Security Council or an advisor there in the NSA's office, I believe, National Security Advisor's office.
I have no objections
that would
to
be
that.
Good advice. But the stomach, like you said, from the American people, the voters not wanting any more ground wars, I can understand that. We had decades in Iraq, Afghanistan, and so on, global war on terrorism. But here's the thing: GWOT's still going on. So regardless if we're in Iraq and Afghanistan with heavy troops, we're still fighting global war on terrorism.
100%. That's are you hearing a lot of background noise. I'm hearing a lot
Yeah,
of
a little
background noise.
staticky noise.
Yeah. So there's obviously some studio issues. Hopefully we'll get that sorted out. Yeah. So thank you for that comment. I would love to be on the National Security Council offering that kind of advice and hopefully keep steering us in the right direction. But we'll see. My initial assessment was 6 weeks. That was based on the objective. It's funny because the press says there's no clear objectives. Yeah, there were clear objectives to eliminate the nuclear threat, to defang the Iranians so they don't threaten their neighbors, and to bring them to the table and negotiate. Those remain the goals all along. Then Trump, he moved the goalposts and said, now we want unconditional surrender. But he hasn't said so, but it appears as if he's backed off the unconditional surrender. So when he said unconditional surrender, I said, well, 6 weeks is impossible. So he's going to have to use the whole 60 days he has under the War Powers Act. But it looks like he's backed off. So maybe the 6 weeks will be right on the money. It kind of reminds me of when the Ukraine-Russia conflict started. The night that it happened, I had flown to CPAC, as you recall, back in 2022.
Yep.
I got into my hotel room because the key machine wasn't working. They had to hunt down the night manager who was sleeping, and he finally let me in my room 45 minutes later. I got in my room, I flipped up my laptop, and I was going to go take a shower because it's Florida. I was all sticky. And so I turned on the tube, and the invasion had started. So I set up a live stream, went live for about 2 hours at 1:30 in the morning. And people asked me, so what do you think? How long is this going to last? And I said, well, it's a 3 to 5 year conflict. And then I'm like, what do you mean 3 to 5 years? I said, well, you have to understand the underlying factors and contributing conditions, and they're not going to achieve what they want overnight. This is going to be 3 to 5 years. It's going to be a slugfest. And it seems like that was quite prophetic. We're in year 5 now, aren't we?
I think, year 4 or 5, going on.
So I mean, I see no scenes of no indication it's letting up anytime soon.
No, you're correct. I don't know that will. And of course, here's a question though. And do you think tonight he's going to make a statement about NATO, about point out of NATO? I don't know if point out of NATO right now would be premature, probably, but probably a bold statement against NATO. I think maybe.
Well, I think it's a good point here that you're making, but he's probably going to rail against NATO allies. But I don't think he's, this threat of pulling out NATO. He doesn't have the authority to pull us out of NATO. This isn't like the Paris Peace Climate. The Paris Climate Accord, we weren't a participant in. Despite the media's trying to hoodwink Americans, we cannot be a treaty partner and a signatory to a treaty unless the Senate ratifies the president's action. And the Democratic Senate and the Republican Senate never ratified the Paris Climate Accord. So we were never in it. Despite the fact we weren't in it, the federal government was acting as if we were in it, and they were complying with it. And they were causing great hardship on Americans in our energy sector and our daily lives. But we were never part of it. Trump withdrew us from it, and people lost their minds. And then Biden put us back in it, but we weren't in it. It was never ratified. It wasn't law. And then Trump took us out for. But again, this is different. NATO is a treaty. We are a treaty partner. The president can't simply abrogate a treaty. The Senate has to consent to that. And the Senate will never consent to leaving NATO. So this is all bluster. It's all nonsense. Now, he can weaken NATO by, withdrawing or not nominating American commanders to be in charge of things. But in the end, all that does is weaken the United States. I mean, do we really want Italian generals in charge of combat operations in NATO?
No.
I mean, do we remember World War II? I mean, do we want the French surrender monkeys to be in charge?
It's funny, as you said French and then Italy, World War II. They were on both sides during the war, were they not?
Yes, of course, they're on both sides. There's collaborators on both sides. But no, my point is, I mean, if you want to read the shortest books ever published, read the book of Italian war heroes.
You have to go back to the Roman era, probably.
Exactly. They weren't Italians; they were Romans then. But there are no Italian war heroes. They got their asses handed to them in Libya by the Ottomans. They got their asses handed to them in Albania by the Albanians. Yeah, they've not had a good track record. So, and then they switched sides. They were on the Entente. They were part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire and the Germans, and then they switched sides to be part of the Allies in the First World War. And as a consequence, they were rewarded with South Tyrol. Well, that sounds a lot better. That noise just went away.
Big time. You go back to the 1800s, you had Napoleon in charge of Italy too, the French.
Yeah. They lost to Napoleon as well. It's even Andreas Hofer, who was a German-speaking rebellious guy, ran around the Alps there. And anyway, but the shortest book on record is the book Italian War Heroes. It's just real. It's like not even a page. Anyway,
paperback.
Yeah. So I mean, look, do we really want the Italians and the French to take over key roles in NATO? I don't think so. Do we want NATO, the Northern Command in Stavanger to be run by the Norwegians? No, I don't think so. Anyway, just saying. So look, it's a bunch of bluster, but I think he'll address probably tonight NATO, and he's angry. His anger at NATO, and he's right to be angry at NATO. And I like what he said today. I love when Trump just speaks in blunt terms. Look, you want oil? Go get it. We don't need the oil. And that's the bottom line. See, that's the thing. People always like, America this, America must do this. We don't have to do anything. Yeah, look, you guys don't want to participate in policing the global commons and protecting the global commons, then too bad for you, because guess what? We've got all the petroleum and natural gas we could possibly need. We got all the uranium we need, even though Hillary Clinton sold it to the Russians illegally. We still have plenty of it. We've got what we need. We don't need that. Now, if your economy suffers, ours will also suffer. But the point here, folks, is that the Europeans need this far more than we need it. And if they want to sit back and let us do all the hard work and heavy lifting like they've done for the past 70 plus years in Western Europe, well, guess what? When the oil stays shut off in the Straits of Hormuz and the factories grind to a halt in France, Italy, Spain, and in Germany, well, then too bad for them. And when the people are in the streets, hanging effigies of their leftist, hate-wanking leaders, well, then maybe they'll wake up to the reality that, your free ride is over. You have to participate. It's just shocking to see this. But now we see Sir Keir Starmer in the UK talking about holding a summit to discuss. Shut up. Look, you got one aircraft carrier and it's in dry dock. You can't even sail the thing. I've got more rubber ducks than you've got ships in the Navy. I could float a bigger Navy than the Brits can at this stage. What an embarrassment! United Kingdom's become on the world stage.
It gives new definition to rule Britannia, right?
Yeah, rule Britannia. They can't even rule London. And in addition to that, you've got these idiots in Spain, which are giving amnesty to criminal alien invaders. You think the Spanish would know better after being invaded by Muslim hordes for centuries and colonized by them? They would be a little more sensitive to illegal aliens coming to their country. But hey, that's their shtick, that's their game. But so you did see the launch then? You saw it after the fact?
Yeah, after the fact. Actually, as we were coming on the air, I had to do a quick watch, and I watched for a portion of probably 2 or 3 minutes of it. Looked pretty good. Trajectory looked good. On their way to the moon, I guess.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I love that. I'm hoping that this is a very successful mission. I think that the two hardest parts, of course, are the launch and achieving orbit. Anything can happen, but that's the most risky part, because of all those chemicals burning behind you, exploding as you leave the Earth's atmosphere. And then, of course, reentry is also a concern too. Remember the Challenger coming back, which was kind of sad. And not the Challenger. Which was the one that broke up when it came back?
Columbia.
The Columbia. Yeah, Columbia. And Challenger blew up in '86. I was in the arms room in the barracks in Germany, cleaning my rifle after coming back from the range. Of course, remember we're hours ahead, so it's late afternoon for me. And I watched the Challenger as I was cleaning my rifle. I watched it blow up. I was heartbreaking. I'll never forget it.
Wow. Yeah, I was in my mom and dad's room. We had a snow day that day, and I watched it launch, and I was like, because it was a big deal because there was a school teacher on it, and I was in elementary school at the time. And
Krista McAuliffe.
Right. And I thought it was kind of cool. Like, man, it could be my school teacher. I think somebody from a local school here actually applied to be a part of that, which was, it's part of the storyline. And I was like, man, this is kind of cool. We knew somebody who applied for that, and I'm like, and then you watch it blow up and you're like, what just happened? And then they're like, and then you hear all this stuff and you're like, yeah, it blew up, and they cut away from it. You knew almost right away. Of course, I didn't really know anything outside of just it blew up, and then listen to Reagan's speech that night from the Oval Office. I remember that. And that was like, man, it just hit home at that point. That going to space is very dangerous.
Well, and coming back, of course, when the Columbia blew up, and of course, they had their health stats they were monitoring. Some of them were still alive after the craft broke apart.
Yeah,
they were flying through the air, dying. What a horrific thing for the Columbia thing. I mean, at least in the case of the Challenger, they probably never knew, and they just blew up. They probably maybe had a microsecond or a second to know, but those guys had a terrifying death. In the Columbia, many of them. What a sad story. And of course, the debris spread out over multiple states, Louisiana, Texas, all over the place.
They still find stuff.
Still finding debris from that. That's really, look, it's a very dangerous venture that we do here. And a lot of people are like, why have we waited so long? Well, I mean, we've been distracted by many other things, the end of the Vietnam War, Watergate, stagflation, burying the Soviets, then the loss of interest in NASA, only doing unmanned missions. But we've had some great achievements in that time frame. Of course, my favorite is New Horizons, which went to Pluto, which, contrary to the International Astronomy Union, you lying SOBs, it is a planet. It is not a Kuiper Belt object. Pluto is a planet, and give it back its due. It has its own orbit. It has its own moons, objects that rotate around it, and it pulls them with its gravity. So it meets all the standards. So Pluto, of course, the New Horizons was absolutely amazing. The photographs came back from that. We were told it was geologically dead. It's too far away. couldn't be it. But we found geologic activity within the last 10 million years, obviously just from the photographs. And the data is still being analyzed from a mission that occurred 11 years ago now. Can you imagine that? The New Horizons was 11 years ago. Shocking how quickly time goes by.
Right, absolutely. Well, you think about the Voyagers that launched in the 70s that are the furthest objects away from Earth, fastest man-made objects ever. And then, of course, the picture, the pale blue dot, that Carl Sagan had them turn it around, take that one last photo of Earth, in a sunbeam. And it looks like a speck. Our planet looks like a speck of dust in a sunbeam coming through your curtains in the morning. We are very tiny. Even in our own solar system, never mind the galaxy. So when we think that we are, the be all end all of the universe, I mean, just look at the speck that we live on. I don't think so.
It stands the test of time, even though much of it's been overcome with more information from science and discovery since then. But I'll still remember as a young man watching on PBS, well, not my favorite network, but PBS Cosmos with Carl Sagan, billions and billions of stars. I'll never forget that. Carl Sagan, of course, who taught at Cornell in Ithaca, and his protege was none other than Neil deGrasse Thompson. No, Tyson. Tyson. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson. I'm thinking Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's turned out to be a bit of a disappointment and a race hustler lately, which is unfortunate because he's a hell of a physicist. But yeah, he went there as a young man, and he was inspired, and he was invited to come up to Cornell to Ithaca by none other than Carl Sagan himself. And so, anyway, he's become in some ways in his time as famous or more famous than Carl Sagan, but ultimately Carl Sagan is just a rock star, will never be forgotten for what he contributed to the field, even though he was considered by some to be a bit of a publicity hog. But I was really impressed by Carl Sagan. I love astronomy and space. The only reason I didn't become an astronomer is that you need math skills, and mine aren't up to par.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Severe in math. Yeah. You need heavy math skills for sure. I mean, I love astronomy. I love, just thinking about, the objects that are out there, our sun alone. How many times can the Earth fit inside our sun? Millions of times. And there are suns or stars that are out there that our sun can fit inside millions upon millions of times. And it's like, to think that we are some sort of be all end all, like I said, in the universe, I think we need to check ourselves and humble ourselves a little bit. And astronomy will humble you.
Oh, it will. When you look at a star, a distant star, and it's 33,000 light years away. I mean, our minds can't even grasp how far that is. We can't even. It's insane.
People think that, we're just going to be able to go inhabit another planet and humanity is going to be saved. I'm like, what planet are you talking about? Because it's not in our solar system. I mean, like I said, the Voyager spacecraft just barely left, the sun's gravitational pull just in the recent years. And it's not even one light day away from the Earth at this point.
Out of the heliosphere, which is what you're talking about.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. And the New Horizons also headed out of the heliosphere itself. That's the fastest craft ever produced. I think it's traveling at like 30,000 miles per hour or something. It's insane. But New Horizons is pretty incredible. Of course, it had a pass by another object shortly after that. I'm not sure when the next pass by is, but pretty incredible stuff. Of course, New Horizons we're even fortunate that ever happened because the alignment of the stars, the necessary travel to get a slingshot off of Jupiter and off of Saturn, that was all, it all had to be planned many, many years in advance. And it only came in a window that would curl for like 200 years or something like that. So, it was a one-shot thing and we pulled it off. But I want a manned mission. Not man mission, but I want a Pluto orbiting object is what I want. A POO. I want a poo. I want a poo. Well, I mean, it is the 100th anniversary of Winnie the Pooh this year, so I want a poo. That's what I want. Right. Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So pretty exciting stuff there when you look at what we do in space. A lot of people talk about it's a waste of money, but it's not. So many things about humanity, about our physical being, about our lifespans, about our viability as a species, about our weather, our climate, and solar storms. All this comes from our exploration of space. Oh, and we got Tang too. I forgot about that.
Right. Well, plus we can talk over the internet and things like this. All the technology that we have, all the nice plastics, all the synthetics that came about because we were, trying to figure out how to go to space and do it. You think about it, to launch something into space, you have to go 17,500 miles per hour. Plus, you have to have the power to be able to launch whatever you send in the orbit, up, thousands of pounds. That takes a lot of fuel and a lot of force just to get into low Earth orbit, for crying out loud. To think that we're going to do these manned missions and stuff, I mean, that's going to take a lot of fuel and a lot of technology that we don't even have just yet. I mean, that's why we go to space. That's why we continue to put money into it, because there's technologies that we're getting out of it, like the Colonel said. We're benefiting from that on a daily basis.
Well, it is amazing the commercial and civilian applications of things that are pursued by the government. But it's interesting. Three of the biggest causes of innovation, of course, are military needs. We've
Yep.
developed all sorts. For instance, treatments against malaria are a consequence of U.S. deployment to Cuba. And we lost so many troops in Cuba because of malaria, and we had to come up with means. And so that was where Walter Reed was playing a role. And when we wound up fighting malaria, and ever since then, the U.S. military, particularly the Army, has been at the vanguard of new medications, new prophylaxis, and treatments for malaria. Mefloquine is a direct result of the U.S. Army, as well as Primaquine and others. These are frontline methods. Hang on, we got a message here from John.
Okay, that didn't work.
No, it didn't work what he thought. So anyway, the U.S. So military innovation is key. I mean, look at GPS. GPS wasn't designed for you to use the internet. It wasn't designed for you to use cell phones or do shopping around the world or have drones deliver stuff. But those are the applications today. But it was designed to pinpoint locations for military aircraft and for ships at sea and for targeting. But look at the applications of it. So we get beyond that. Of course, Captain Kirk had his communicator flipped open, and if you remember the Motorola flip phones, they were very similar. But now we have phones that have more processing power than all the computers and mainframes that launched the Apollo space program. This phone, which is 6 years old, has more computing power than they had for that. And the list goes on and on. But, there's space is another innovator. We've, especially when it comes to medicine, lots of developments, things we've tested in space. But the other great innovator, which people always forget about, and this is the one that drove the development of the VCR versus the Betamax, and then also online streaming, and then age verification and credit card purchases. And of course, I'm talking about pornography. That is the big driver. I mean, a lot of innovations on the internet today were driven by the huge market and how much money is made by people in the porn industry online. And ironically, it may be distasteful for people, but it has been a major innovating factor is the porn market, which has led to all these different innovations. And so, between military applications, space applications, and pervert porn stuff, the world's a better place.
Yeah, that's right. Porn's a billions of dollars industry, I mean, I don't want to say it's legitimate, but it's legitimate business. I mean, it's legal, I'm not saying that I don't advocate for it, but it's legal.
Well, I mean, look, Joe Biden was on the scene. So anything after Joe Biden is pretty much, fair game. So.
And it is a First Amendment issue too. Larry Flint went to, I think, the Supreme Court arguing that case, and he was right, actually,
Did you see that? But they tried to assassinate him. He wound up being paralyzed.
Right. Yeah. Wheelchair. Yeah. But at the same time, I mean, from a First Amendment standpoint, he was right. I mean, what he was trying to peddle, I don't appreciate. But the fact is, there's a First Amendment that supports, and everybody can everybody can, I guess, partake in the First Amendment. I mean, the government can't censor us, if you will.
Well, they tried. You see, the Biden regime tried to create a ministry of disinformation or misinformation. Remember that?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, they will try anything to silence their critics. They don't believe in free speech. They will harp and scream about how much they love the Constitution. They will go and enlist for 2 years so they can claim that they're warriors later on when they run for Congress. Yeah, it's despicable.
Yeah. I see a lot of people do that. They're like, "Oh, I went into the Guard." Which I appreciate the National Guard. Don't get me wrong, but a lot of them go into the Guard just to check the block for a couple of years. They're in a safe unit that they get assigned to. They don't do any hard duty, and then they're on their way. Like, I'm a veteran. I'm a soldier.
But Todd, what you mean? I have it on good authority that Tampon Timmy was in the war. He fought the war in the Middle East from Ramstein Air Force Base, pulling guard duty. Tampon Timmy.
Yeah, no, he did. And here's the thing: had he simply said, "Hey, I was in the military. Here's just what I did, and I didn't actually go to the combat zone, but I did do this," I'd be like, "Okay, I appreciate that. That's not a problem."
The correct phrase would have been, "I deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom
There you go.
when I was based at Ramstein Air Force Base, pulling duty there." That's the correct way. I deployed in support of.
I'd give him his credit on that one, but he tried to claim more than he did.
He's a stolen valor guy. When he was pulled over in Iowa for being 3 sheets of wind drunk, and he told the trooper, I have medical balance issues because I'm a disabled veteran. Complete lies, total poppycock. Got out of a DUI by lying to cops. It's just the guy has no honor whatsoever. He's a disgraceful sludge of a human being. And I look at him, and he's the same age as me, and the guy looks like he's freaking 20 years older than me. I mean, if I were to shave his beard off, I could probably pass for his son. That's how old he looks.
Absolutely. My thing is like in Minnesota or Iowa, I guess don't they have breathalyzers there? Like, couldn't they give him a breathalyzer and be like, well, you may have balance issues, but you're over the legal limit here, buddy.
They can do that, but one of the problems you have here, people use stolen valor. They try to pull the veteran card stuff. Look, I saw a guy at the airport, not this trip, but my last trip when I went to Dallas, who pulled his contractor ID card, his CAT card, out when they call for active duty on the American Airlines flight, because American, they'll say all active duty come up and go to the front line. So this guy, who is clearly in his 50s or 60s, pulls out a contract, because he was standing next to me, and I can see it's a contractor CAT card, and he holds it up and goes up, and they let him go at the front of the line. I mean, what is that nonsense? That's Tampon Timmy, the same sort of thing.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah, Tampon Timmy. Yeah. I see. Oh, John's got somebody in the studio there working. Nothing. Don't hear anything there, John. I don't know if you can hear. He's got somebody in there. He's got somebody in there working it. I see his hand waving. I don't know what he's doing. So yeah, for the listeners out there, John we can see him in the studio.
Is that George? That isn't George. I can't see very clearly. Anyway, whatever the case is, but we do have folks in the studio trying to sort the technology out, folks. The good news is that you can hear us. Hopefully we'll get John. This is John's turn to moderate. I'm tired, John. Let's get you working there, man. It's your turn. I just got back from Vegas. Okay, so they turned his camera off. Hey, so I just got back from Vegas, Todd. You haven't even asked me how that trip went, man. What's up with that?
Well, yeah. So tell me what all went on out there. Did you win anything? Did you put it on black? I mean, did you gamble?
No.
What happened here?
No gambling. It was a trip out there to check the South African refugees, and I have to say that the ones in Vegas are doing very well. I actually met with the director of the African Community Center, Milan Devatak, who is running that place. And met with, so I had a barbecue with the South Africans, almost 30 of them, 28 or 30 of them on Sunday, and then took one of the families after that out to the Hoover Dam, because they don't have transportation. They haven't been out there. So nice outing for them. And I haven't been to the Hoover Dam since 1989. Plus you see the little, ring around the tub where the water levels are down. From,
it used to be.
Yeah, well, so it's never been that low for me, so I got to see that. But it was boiling out there, man. It was in the high 90s, and that sun was just piercing, and that was late afternoon. So I took it out there. They brought him back. Then Monday, I had an appointment with the director. Went and I got a tour of the agency. Spent several hours there. Monday. And then Tuesday, before I left, I'd asked him on Monday if I could do an interview so he could answer questions about what happens to the refugee agency that does a good job and helps refugees, because that's to me, that's by all appearances what's happening. And so he said he had to check with this, like, Catholic Charities, the organization they're a subunit of. And they said, yeah, you can do it. And so the deal was, I said I would record it and then edit it, upload it, and keep it unlisted, so that you and your next level up, your higher office, can review it. If you have any objections, then I won't run it or I'll edit it. And they got back with me about 5 p.m. Vegas time, or 5:30 Vegas time yesterday, and said that you have a green light. Go ahead and air it.
Oh, so good.
So it's a fantastic interview, and it answers a lot of questions, and it's going to open a lot of eyes about what's supposed to be happening vis-a-vis refugees, not just South Africans, but all refugees. So that's coming. That was happening. So the only thing I did for myself the whole trip out there is I did go to a couple of Vegas Golden Knights games. They played the Capitals on Saturday night. They lost in a shootout 5-4. And then they played against the Canucks. It was looking pretty ugly, but they came back and won 4-2. So I enjoyed those games, but I didn't go to any shows. I don't gamble. Of course, with my hip issues, I don't have the mobility. I used to walk, 8 or 10 miles a day up and down the strip when I was in Vegas, but I can't do that now. Just going a mile was challenging. So the one thing I did want to do was go to a show or catch comedy, but I just didn't have time for it. And the other thing is I wanted to go to Fremont Street for the experience and do the zip line. But I got there late on Tuesday. I had to turn my car in at 5:30. I got there about 4 o'clock, so plenty of time. And then I went, and it was a 40-minute wait, even though there's almost nobody up there. So I'm like, you know what, 40 minutes, I can't risk it. So I just went back to the airport. So I didn't, but I've done zip lines. But this was kind of cool because you have this big, over Fremont Street, this big artificial arch with, it's all lit up with these
lights,
LED lights, and you slide, it is, you slide down it. You can be seated, or you can go like you're like Superman. I want to do like the Superman, because that's what I did in South Africa, the world's longest zip line, which is like 2 miles long. And it's like, you go 160 kilometers an hour. You're like a rocket down that cable, man. It's unbelievable. They've got you strapped in with 3 different, mechanisms. In case one breaks, the other breaks, and you got 3 chances not to fall to your death.
Not to die.
Yeah, but it's funny because it's like flying in a plane. Unless you have a reference point that's relatively close, you can't see. You don't get the sense of how fast you're traveling. And so when you take off, it's fast initially, but then everything is so widespread, way laid out in front of you there, that for a long period of time, you don't realize how fast you're going. But before I did the zip line, I said, well, how does it work? He said, well, it usually takes 3 to 4.5 minutes for people to get down, but it's based on your weight and your size, Well, I'm tall and I weigh over 200 pounds. And so I'm pretty aerodynamic, apparently. I was down in about half the time that they said you're supposed to be.
That's all right, though.
Yeah. Well, it was great. I've got the video of it. So, yeah, but zip lining, interesting stuff. But and then there's the other zip line that's in Vegas. That's across from Bellagio, one of those side streets, and I didn't go do that one either. But the one at Fremont, that's experience. Fremont's very different, Todd, because if you're looking for cheap Vegas, old Vegas, downtown
That's
Vegas, Fremont Street, yep,
Golden Nugget, and all that.
yeah, Golden Nugget, that's right, yeah, yep, and that's the place you go for the $5 lunches and the penny slots.
I've had lunch there.
You know what I'm talking?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I ate at Steak and Shake. I got ate for $12 instead of $40 on the strip.
Oh, wow, yeah. Yeah, Fremont Street, that's where you go. It's where it's a lot cheaper. Hotels are cheaper. Gambling's cheaper. And, of course, a lot more smoke down there, though. Their filtration systems aren't as good. So you go into those casinos, it's a lot of smoke, man.
That's exactly right. I was just assaulted by cigarette smoke when I walked in the first place. And also, you're assaulted by the smell of weed on the streets because people illegally smoking marijuana there. So, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So I don't know. They're still working on what's happening in the studio, but at least the two of us can talk. I'm looking at John's camera there for those who are watching this online, and almost looks like the Tennessee flag, but it's not. It's just like a camera reel. If you see that on the camera,
oh yeah,
it looks So anyway, but the Vegas trip went very well. It was interesting. So now I've gone to Alabama, Idaho, Texas, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Nevada. So of the lower 48, I've already been to 7 states to visit refugees, and I've got more trips coming up. Virginia, New England, Florida also coming up here, and Ohio coming up in the near term. So yeah, it's busy stuff. And for those who are curious, no, I do not work for the U.S. government. No, I do not get paid for this. This is of my own volition, out of my own pocket, because this program is getting bad reputation because a number of bad actors are misleading, and especially the media, telling people things that aren't true. There are people who are having issues in the program, and it has a lot to do with the fact that there's insufficient oversight from the U.S. government and also from the vendors who are the ones assigned to this. But hey, what do you think of my hat? This was a custom-made hat that the guy had at Nellis Air Force Base, so I bought it.
Oh, I like it. What does it say underneath your rank there? What is that?
Oh, it just says U.S. Army, and then my rank, Colonel Retired.
Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah, and I see the you got your full bird up there. That works.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So yeah.
So let me ask you some questions about some of the commonalities you're finding in these refugee programs.
Before you do that, I want to show you my hat. Of course, I went to the Hoover Dam, and this is my damn hat. I always have a damn T-shirt. It looks just like it. But anyway, all right. So what's the question about commonalities?
So some commonalities. So, I know you talked about whenever you went to New York, there was issues up there. What are some of the common issues you're seeing, and so maybe some of the common good things that are happening with the program as far as across the country?
Well, where things are going well, we have agents or case officers who seem to approach this as more than just a job, but more of a calling. And they go out of their way to try to help people, which isn't even necessary, but it really plays out in a very positive way. Those are people who are able to secure appointments for Social Security, the medical checks, because they have to have medical checks when they land in the States, as well as they go out of their way to get them suitable accommodation. Where we're running into trouble is we're finding a number of case officers in many locations that don't really seem to care. Some of them attitudes about this because the program was dramatically reduced in size by President Trump. So a lot of the money went off the table. A lot of these workers went up unemployed, but the ones still working some of them have a grudge to bear. Some of them are bigots and racist because they don't know the history of South Africa, and they hear that they're all racist, which is nonsense. And so they apply their own bigotry and racism, and it harms refugees. And that's one thing I spoke to the U.S. government about, among many other things. But where things are going badly, it's typically these people are being put into overpriced, dilapidated, unsuitable housing, and the resources are being drained very quickly. It looks like they're trying to come back up in the studio. So that's a recurring theme. But the good news is that that's not widespread. It's happening. But remember that by the end of February, we had almost 3,500 South Africans in the country already. And I was dealing with maybe 50 cases like this. I would say the number's increased to well over 100 now. But we're probably well over 4,000. I'm waiting for the statistics for March. They come out on the 5th of the month. And I think the 5th is that Monday or is it Sunday? When is the 5th? The 5th is on Sunday. So I don't know if they're released I don't know if they'll be released on Sunday or they'll be released next week. But the bottom line with this is that the government releases statistics once a month about the number of refugee arrivals in the country, and what country they come from, and what states they go to. So on the 5th, I'll be able to see that, and I'm projecting that we're going to see probably at least 500 to maybe 1,000 more. And the reason I say that is because the program was frozen from the 23rd of February until the 9th of March. So 9 days in March, there'll be no arrivals. So you only have 3 weeks in March to get arrivals. So we'll see how that went, but we're going to be for sure. I could almost guarantee it over 4,000 South Africans, probably as many as 4,500 at this stage. And the vast majority of them have come this fiscal year, even though, bear in mind that it's really weird because there were no refugees traveling because the government shut down from the 1st of October until the 19th. So that's 6 weeks, almost 7 weeks off the board right there. Then Christmas exodus, when many government employees go and travel, take the holidays. So from the 18th of December until the 5th of January, another 3 weeks, nothing. So that's what we already said. So what, 6, 7, that's 10 weeks already. And then there was a period in February to recalculate the system, another 3 weeks. So that's 13 for almost 14 weeks of this year aren't even there. So in that short period of time, we managed to get 3,500, and now it'll be over 4,000. So look, I mean, it's not like it was the free for all when Biden jammed this country full of people, many of whom had no business being here. 233,000 refugees in 4 years. It's not like that, but we'll see in the end how this comes out. But right now, the difference between a good case and a bad case has a lot to do with the case officer. But also, here's something too to keep in mind, Todd, is that the federal government allocates $2,450 per refugee beyond travel and everything. This is just money for the refugees to get settled. It's not a lot of money, but it's per capita. So if you're a family of 5, you're a spouse and 3 kids, you get over $10,000. But if you come as a single person, you get $2,400. Well, that $2,400, that person's still got to pay $1,200, $1,500 a month of rent. The family of 5 is probably paying $1,200 to $1,600 or $1,700. So, their money will last much longer. And while it's very unfair, it is the reality. The good news is that agencies like the one I met in Las Vegas will you allocate funds that they're able to hold back from that $2,400, but they're not doing it. They're actually using other money. But other agencies can hold some of that money back legally and then use it to help out people who are in need or singletons who don't have enough money to last a few months. So it's a very complicated process, but it's something most Americans have no visibility on, and that's probably why it's been done in the dark for so long.
Right, and don't understand what the refugee program is or what refugees are. People think it's just people running across the border, seeking asylum or whatever. It's not the case. These are people that have been vetted, went through an entire process, are here legally, have done the right things. These are people we shouldn't be looking down on, that for sure. The people that run across the border and try to take a job or whatever, those are the people we should be looking out for and kicking out of the country.
I'm with you 100%. Todd, I received in the mail this week my cable bill. My cable bill is larger than the first 2 new the monthly payments that I made. $325 a month for cable. That's too much. That's too
ridiculous. Yeah, ridiculous. And that's why there's so much competition now to get your internet business or whatever the case may be, streaming services and all this stuff. But of course, cable companies, obviously, they have streaming as well. So they're trying to get into that market and keep you from jumping ship.
But the cable companies are at a severe disadvantage in one respect. They may have a lot of bandwidth to pump you stuff, but with copper coax, you cannot get that duality. You can't get the same upload speed as downloads. So typically, they can feed you, a gigabyte, or 800 megabytes per second or something like that, but you're only going to get a certain amount coming up the pipe. Whereas with fiber optic, it's almost the same. If you're getting a gigabyte line, you have a gigabyte of upload, which is lightning fast. And what I do, I need that fast upload. So, Comcast better get their act together, Xfinity, or they're going to find themselves losing a client. Looks like we've got some movement there. John, I don't know if he's sorted it out, but hopefully we'll find out in a second. Whoops, no, the camera's being moved now.
Somebody's adjusting the camera. John was pointing at something. He's about to sit down. He is sit down.
Okay.
Let's see if he reaches for headphones. I don't know, folks. John may or may not be on here before.
He's got there goes the headphones. Okay.
There you go.
All right. Well, he's been shamming for the last hour. Let's see if we can get him on the program now. I mean, seriously, what a lazy. Come on, John, are you there? No, we can't hear him.
Cannot hear you.
No, can't hear. Oh, he's got some timing and headspace going on there. Hang on.
Headspace and timing. I love it.
Is he there? No, can't
just,
hear you. But the static came back, but we can't hear a word you're saying. Hey, don't run off yet.
He's waving them back in.
He's,
All right.
he's like he's on the flight line. Come back, come back.
Yeah. We got a couple minutes before the break there,
But
folks.
all we
Hopefully they'll get this sorted out.
all we got was the static back, and we didn't get John. So I mean, look, John's one of our beloved co-hosts. We don't want to say that the static is better than John. We don't want to say that for sure. Anyway.
See?
Yeah, so when John did that, we picked up the static. We still have the static, but we have not picked up the John or the banging on the microphone we just saw there a moment ago. Didn't pick up on that either. Anyway, in the second hour, it's John's lead tonight. But anything you want to talk about, Todd, that we should focus on? Maybe President Trump's conversation tonight, or maybe the war in Iraq? I don't know.
What time is he going live? I know you mentioned that earlier before.
9 o'clock.
Audience, 9 o'clock. So
as soon as we go off air.
As soon as the show's off, you guys tune over and watch the president, listen to the president. Let us know what you think. Especially if you follow us on social media, let us know what you think.
Well, that's the static is getting louder.
Yeah, no,
the static is getting louder. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I feel like I'm in a Miami in a hurricane now. That's what it sounds like.
Oh, speaking of Miami, did you see the teaser of President Trump's library?
No, I haven't seen it.
It's going to be like a high-rise skyscraper there in Miami. It looks beautiful. Kind of looks like the Freedom Tower in New York, but a smaller version. Looks very beautiful. A lot of glass going all the way up. Kind of beautiful.
I think they should put solid gold, massive, oversized DT initials on top of the building. Donald Trump.
Donald John Trump. Or have them reflective so they'll melt cars at the Democrat headquarters or something. I don't know.
Yikes. Anyway. Oh my goodness. We're just getting, the static is getting louder and louder. Now I feel like I'm in space. I'm picking up the cosmic microwave background.
The wow signal.
Yeah, exactly. Remember those guys who were cleaning up that antenna and they thought that there was bird droppings on it, and then they finally realized that they were hearing for the first time the cosmic microwave radiation from the birth of the universe. Pretty wild stuff.
Yeah.
So I hope they solve the static soon, Todd, because it's giving me some fits here.
Yeah. So the Artemis 2, when are they supposed to be? How many revolutions or how many orbits of the moon are they going to make? Is it one?
Just the one. They just go by once and they come back. It's a 10-day mission. Back. I mean, we see the moon. It looks big in the sky, but it isn't close, brother. That thing is not close.
It's not.
It's 248,000 miles away.
The atmosphere distorts it, makes it look like it's a lot closer.
Well, and at certain times too, because it winds up. No, that's not our microphone, Max. That's in the studio. But there's definitely something going on in the studio there. I think we've got some Chinese software in play tonight.
It could be Fang or something like that, monkeying with the wires, perhaps.
All right. Well, I hope that they switch us over to the news in 1 minute, or we're going to have to carry ourselves for the news here too, Todd.
Right. Mad Max says Temu microphone and headphone kit. I don't know about that. I don't know. I can't hear anything. I don't know if.
Broadcasting from 200 Main Street in the beautiful and historic Masonic Building. This is WSMN 1590 AM and WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Streaming live at wsmn.live.
USA Radio News, I'm Anthony.
All right. Looks like we've lost Anthony. They're not sure. All right, so
testing 1 2. There it was. Testing 1 2.
All right, I can hear you just fine. Can you hear me on that end from the studio?
That button, man. You're not supposed to touch that button. See, now we're live.
Yeah, you are live. I can hear you.
Let me play among the stars.
NASA says Artemis 2 has reached a key milestone following launch with successful main engine cutoff and stage separation as the spacecraft begins its journey around the moon.
Integrity and nominal MECO core stage separated.
We see the same onboard, Stan.
Officials say solar arrays are deploying and the crew is headed toward high Earth orbit, marking the first time humans have reached that point in over 50 years. Efforts are ongoing to secure the release of American freelance journalist Shelley Kittleson, who was kidnapped in Baghdad yesterday. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State Dylan Johnson says a suspect with ties to an Iranian-aligned militia has been detained by Iraqi authorities, while her employer is calling for her safe and immediate release. The Supreme Court appears skeptical of President Trump's order to end automatic birthright citizenship. That's according to correspondent John Decker, who observed oral arguments today.
And the Chief Justice John Roberts pointed out, yes, the world has changed, but the Constitution has not.
The justices could rule decisively against the policy, with a decision expected later this summer as Trump attended arguments in person. Wall Street closed with stocks higher.
At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 224 points. The S&P 500 rose 46, and the Nasdaq jumped 250 points. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted, it works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated, rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to TruckersUnitedForFreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
That's CBSNH.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com, stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gate City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
All right.
Oh, gosh, it doesn't reflect the views of the station there, John. But we're back with the station. It sounds like we can hear you now, but your camera's a little bit out of wonky there. All I can see is barely see the top of your head there.
Yeah, I guess I should have adjusted that. I might just get out and adjust it real quick, but at least you can hear me now. I think we got this all straightened out finally.
Yeah,
well, only took an hour.
We also got rid of the cosmic microwave background noise that you were feeding over the line too.
Oh crap! Great, wonderful. You know, technology, it's great until it ain't. And
all right, well, John, look, you've been shamming for the last hour. Todd and I have had to carry the load without you, so it's your lead tonight. So let's get to it, brother.
All right, so I do not know what you were talking about. I think you were talking about the fact Trump's supposed to make a speech tonight, and
that was one of the things. Yes, indeed.
And looking forward to that. I don't think. Do you guys think he's going to bail out on Iran, or do you think he's going to see it through?
I think he's going to like give a 1 week deadline, by this time next week, either get it done or, welcome to the Stone Age, maybe something like that. I would be shocked if he ends it tonight because we haven't achieved the goals that we need to achieve. And they have not been completely defanged, as you can see by they're still attacking their neighbors. That's my thoughts. Todd, what about you?
No, I think that's right. We need to hammer them till they submit, or they can't wage war against their neighbors for sure. Especially Israel, and really all their Arab neighbors, because you think about it, Iranians are notorious for hating the Arabs for sure. They've been at war for centuries.
It never ends over there. It's been millennia. You know, it's kind of it's never ending. Those guys over there would kill each other over a stone.
Yeah, but there's so many Middle Eastern nations now that are coming to the the 20th and now 21st century and modernizing, trying to get right, and get with the modern world. And to do that, you don't have to get rid of your religion or anything like that. I mean, you can live in the modern world and still be religious, whether you're a Christian, Muslim, Jew, whatever the case may be. You can still live in the modern world and still embrace religion. You don't have to kill each other. It's not a matter of what religion is last standing on earth gets to go to heaven. That's not the case, folks. We can agree to disagree, live and let live. I think that's what needs to happen.
Isn't that an issue within itself, though? I mean, if your religion is a theocracy and your theocracy tells you should kill infidels or take them as slaves and things like that, we kind of got a conflict here.
But you got to think about it. Even in Christianity, there's things in the Bible that if you applied today, you'd go to prison. I mean, you just would, or you'd be put to death yourself. Go ahead, Colonel.
No, I was coughing. I want to make sure my microphone was off, so I didn't put that over the air.
You look like he was going to jump right in.
Yeah. Go ahead, John.
That is one conflict in it, but the thing about it is people don't seem to understand, because I've been bringing up this Groyper movement thing, this whole anti-Semitic thing going on, and I listened to this jackwagon over here, Nick Fuentes, talking about, we need Iran, is what he says. He hates Israel. And he gives people this idea that Israel's trying to take over the globe and be the dominant force in the whole globe. Little old tiny Israel is going to dominate the United States of America, according to this guy. And he says, but we need Iran because Iran creates conflict with Israel and it creates balance in the Middle East. I'm like, where do these guys come up with this stuff? You can sound convincing, but it doesn't mean it's true. And I think what we've seen with Trump, and this is what people seem to miss about him, is he's gone into the Mideast. We watched him go into the Mideast and create these alignments with Qatar, with Saudi Arabia, with UAE, all these major countries in the Mideast. He's kind of aligned them with us. So they may not be our best friends in the whole world, but he's created a bit of alignment before he went after Iran. And so it's kind of like he wants to cut the head off the snake in Iran and create this, I guess if you want to, for the lack of a better term, create this sort of peace in the Mideast and get rid of this conflict that's been going on forever and a day. And as far as I know, he's aligning, like the Board of Peace and stuff, he's aligning these countries, these nations in the Mideast with Israel to try to knock this stuff off now, to get rid of this terrorism and things that are going. Am I about on point there, Chris, you think?
Yeah, John, I think you've got a fair point there. What I was still fixated on there is your consternation with talking heads on social media. What I love about these things is I share the same consternation. People with no talent, no depth, no experience, no understanding, no achievements who achieve fame on social media. And because they have fame on social media, people think they know what they're talking about. And even those who are pretty... Yeah, well, there's one there. Even those are pretty sharp and pretty erudite and pretty, like the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, is from the United Kingdom. It's a very interesting conversation. 2 or 3 dudes get on there and they chew the fat. They talk about a lot of issues and they're pretty smart when it comes to UK and even about the US. But they recently did a video, which now has well over 100,000 views 2 days ago, about South Africa. And they have no idea what they're talking about. They're sitting there and they're trying to find their way through, and they get credibility on something they have no real knowledge of, no experience, no background. And I find it funny, and I'm not accusing the person you mentioned or those guys of it, but the internet is full of grifters. It's full of people who are simply there for attention and or fame or money, and they really know what they're talking about. And this includes some of our fellow members of uniform who've served, Todd. I watched a former National Guard general talk, and he's talking about the U.S. troops going to the Middle East, specifically in the Arabian or Persian Gulf. He said that, well, the Iranians have the Straits of Hormuz shut down now. That's a problem for the U.S. because now they're going to have to fly all the troops in. Hello, Myron. How did we get there in 1990, 1991? We all flew.
Fly. Yeah.
The only people that came were the poor NCOs who got stuck on ship duty that left from Bremerhaven and from Rotterdam and came down on the boats for weeks on end and went through the canal. And the troops weren't. We don't send. This isn't World War II. This isn't World War I. We don't send troops deployment. We fly them everywhere they go on the planet. Where's this National Guard general's head coming from? He's trying to give the impression that well, gosh, the Iranians have the upper hand. And he was on MSNBC or whatever PMSNBC's new name is.
So
now.
he told the line and said what they wanted him to say. He wants to get invited back.
Exactly, instead of telling the truth. And I see this from some other folks. One person I interviewed this weekend is a big fan of a certain retired colonel who has been wrong on every prediction that he has made about Ukraine, yet still has a massive following. I barely follow Ukraine conflict, and every time people ask me for it, I tell them what's going to happen. It's son of a gun. It's pretty much what happens. But this guy has a massive following. So for me, it's very frustrating. And I'm with John that, it's the stupidity, like the comments he said, he attributes to Nick Fuentes about, well, we need this conflict. We need this. No, we don't need that. I mean, when did these people become strategists? When did they become geopolitical analysts? When did they become leaders? They're not. They're just talking heads, most of whom have never accomplished a damn thing in their lives. At least Charlie Kirk accomplished something. He started Turning Point USA. He had this situation where he engaged people he disagreed with, and he fostered conversation and thought. So Charlie Kirk actually accomplished a lot, but most of these people have accomplished nothing in their lives. That doesn't mean they won't go on and accomplish something. But if your main claim to fame is you've got 3 million YouTube followers or you've got 2 million people on Instagram, and that doesn't make you an expert. It doesn't even make you well informed. It just makes you popular. Popular doesn't equal right.
There's some history shows, YouTubers, if you will, that have more than 1 million followers, and I love the history content they put out. They'll travel the world and they'll talk about that. But I don't look at them if they decided to start talking about politics. Just because you have 1 million followers, that I'm going to start listening to you because wow, they got 1 million followers. They must know what they're talking about. I'm sorry, you don't. You just put out good content that I like to watch. Whenever it comes to the talking heads, I could leave the talking heads. I watch YouTube for history stuff like that, and like the Artemis 2 launch. I'll watch something like that I didn't get to see live. But I don't really care about the podcasters and the talking heads that don't know what they're talking about, who in a lot of cases pay for subscribers. They do. They pay for a lot of subscribers. Yeah.
No, I know this. I mean, I see people that have 800,000 subscribers, and my videos have more views than theirs, despite the fact I'm being shadow banned.
Right. Yeah. So it's funny is you have, I forget, whatever is it last you said
125,000 on my main channel.
125,000. It was 114 last I heard. So 125,000, and you're getting more views than somebody with 2 million followers. To me, you're paying.
I can
for
answer
followers.
that. I can answer
ahead,
that.
John.
See, go back to Nick Fuentes, and he started his podcasting and stuff. He even created something called Cozy.tv. He had his own little video thing, and that can be very expensive if you start to grow a following. Just the same way he did in 2025, ironically, when Trump is inaugurated, right? In 2025, he decided, and there's a PDF form describing all this, where they did some research on this, and they noticed that a lot of his followers were out of places like Pakistan and Russia. And what he did basically is he paid for robot farms. And so they created their fake accounts, and they gig the algorithms on the social media sites, which then people started following in because they were getting more reach. So he grew his audience based on these robot farms, and then from there he just started brainwashing people. And that's basically what he's doing. He's brainwashing people to believe stuff that's absolute and totally nonsense, anti-Israel crap. And the thing that gets me, guys, is I noticed that. And I'm not saying that this is a conspiracy theory, but there's some thought to think about here. After Charlie Kirk was done in, now they start to pick up his videos and they're trying to twist his words around like Israel's bad. And if anybody followed Charlie Kirk, and I've done a little research back on it, he was very pro-Israel. He loved Israel. He thought well of Israel. And you get a lot of media in Israel that talks about the relationship with Charlie Kirk and them, and how he spoke about Israel and the relationship he had. So then Erica Kirk comes along and says, yes, I remember Charlie come home every Friday and said, Shabbat Shalom. And everybody goes, Christians don't say that. Christians don't say. But see, Charlie Kirk was finding favor with Judaism. He was kind of like a Judeo-Christian. Is what you kind of discover later on. So they're trying to twist him around like he was in favor for their cause. This is how sick it gets.
Right.
Well, look, it's the thing I find interesting is that there's a couple of these channels that do these videos about YouTubers in particular who self-implode. You know, they get obsessed with, you know, doing stuff. They try to do outrageous things. They wind up imploding, or they expose themselves as total frauds who don't know anything about it. So, I mean, not to pick on her, but remember the Hawk Tua girl? You know, Tua,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
that video.
How
Yeah,
could I
well,
forget?
yeah, she was a flash in the pan that became very famous, had hundreds of thousands of followers, and she just had idiotic, you know, views and was not particularly literate or intelligent or talented. And she tried to monetize that, and it quickly became apparent to people there was nothing but vaporware here, and she imploded. You have others who go off and do bizarre things and even, you know, crazy criminal things, and their whole thing implodes. It is fascinating to me. You do have some YouTube content creators and social media content creators that have been around for decades now, and they continue to move along. They keep doing the thing. But, you know, for instance, you talked about number of followers. Fikile Mbalula, who is the Secretary General of the African National Congress of South Africa, ostensibly has 3.1 million followers on Twitter, X. I have 13,700. He's been saying all kinds of spewing nonsense. So I was looking at his tweets recently, and I'm like, 1,800 views, 2,000 views. I mean, I've got my average views are larger than that with 13,000 subscribers. It just shows you how fraudulent social media can be and how manipulative it is and how people fall for things. You know, I think one indicator of whether a channel is healthy is how many people they get on live streams in a prime time when people would be watching. If you have a large audience that's loyal, then you're going to get a big audience for that. And I think that's a key indicator of the health of the channel. It's not necessarily how many views you get on a post, but if you're live streaming or doing something, it really shows that people want to hear what you have to say or want to see what you're showing, or they want to hear from the person you're interviewing or the topic you're covering. So, but I'm with you, Todd. I watch some of those channels that do geography and you know and little obscure things about what's happening in the world and how states got their names and you know and what's going on here. Some of that's pretty good, you know. But I really enjoy that. But I don't have time to listen to many social media commentators anymore. I'm just too busy. You know, it's just always doing stuff.
Yeah. Like I said, I'll watch history, architecture. You know, anything related to that. You know. Ancient history, things of that nature, war history, you know, like things I don't really know about, you know, whatever the case may be. How did World War II come about? What are some of the intricacies before it led up to, you know, the U.S. getting involved? Things that you maybe just don't know about, didn't really learn too much in history class in school. Now it's time, you know, you have an interest in it, you have time to watch it, you know, and that's what I wanted to go back and refresh my memory at the same time, learn what I didn't learn in elementary school, middle school, and high school about history. From people who know what they're talking about, who don't have an agenda.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But anyway, so John, it's your show, man. You got 41 minutes.
I got 41 minutes.
Dead air.
Dead air. Yeah, I just did an hour of dead air on my end. Oh, man, that's embarrassing. But, you know, it happens. A lot of things happen. You know, we had Google issues and stuff. Won't go into details because people don't want to hear about that nonsense. Let's see.
But do we really have a technical problem, or was it operator time and headspace?
Well, now we got a noise problem. Somebody lighten it up out there.
That's a real man.
On my end, you guys were fine on your end, but on my end, it was. You got different things for volume in this. You've got the system itself, the computer system. You've got the computer board over here. I mean the soundboard over here, the mixer, and then you've got things like this is what do they call it, a cloud service software that we're using, and it goes through Google. Since we're using Google, and Google will take control of your microphone and stuff like that, and Google muted the microphone, and I think it might have something to do with the fact that some of the techs downloaded some other software into this computer and like Zoom and stuff, and so there may have been conflicts going on. But anyway, we got it all sorted out anyway. It took a bit to figure out.
Updates will do that. They get kind of frustrating. I'm like Microsoft, when it updates my operating system, my authority, I come back, suddenly all my apps, the microphones don't work, the cameras don't work, the adjustments are this, that. You know, I had this thing where Bing software was uploaded on my system. I didn't authorize it, and I'd be sitting here, all of a sudden my wallpaper would change. It's very distracting every day. Finally, I had figured out what it was. One of my viewers said, well, go find this app. I uninstalled it, and the problem is gone. But who are they to get off doing that, you know?
Right, Windows 11, it's worse, isn't it? I mean, Windows 11, they're pretty much trying to force you onto the cloud service. So they want you to buy their cloud service and store all your stuff, your photos, your information data, whatever you have, onto their cloud service. It's kind of like they're taking control over our lives. It's
well, that ain't going to happen. That ain't going to happen. I'm sorry. They're not going to control my life.
I
Well,
did.
John,
I got a laptop with Windows 11, and I did turn that feature off, because I'm not paying them for that. I can just get myself a external storage device, a link system, with terabytes on it, and store all my information on there.
So Mad Max has a question in the comments here. It says, "What's John's take on what's happening in Virginia with Governor Spambarger and her ban on ARs and, of course, magazines that take more than 15 rounds?" What are your thoughts on the old governor there?
I will always shift to the old standard of Second Amendment rights shall not be infringed actually means something. Our forefathers were very adamant about that. And, the thing about it is they try to say safety, right? Where in the U.S. Constitution does it say the United States government has an obligation to make sure the average citizen is safe?
Nowhere.
It absolutely says nothing about that in the U.S. Constitution. They have no authority on that. While yet what happens is we get these SCOTUS rulings where they legislate from the bench and say, well, it's reasonable if there's a safety, like driving. Driving was considered a right to drive an automobile. And so they decided that it's no longer a right, it's a privilege, because it's a safety issue, because people may have accidents and perish in automobiles, so they have to regulate you. So now they're going to lean on the Commerce Clause and nonsense like that, because of the Commerce Clause we can regulate. You can if it's trucking, but the average citizen, I don't think you can. Oh, but safety is involved. So this all comes from judges legislating from the bench or creating new doctrines from the bench. So what's the Constitution mean if the judges can just start making stuff up willy-nilly, abortion rights, willy-nilly?
Okay, so that's a good answer. So Mad Max also says the Colonel is too busy watching Landman. Are you watching Landman, Colonel?
No, I'm not.
You haven't got into that, Billy Bob Thornton?
Oh, you mean the show? Yeah. I thought he was doing something. He's Mad Max has created an animated series called Buckman, and I'm Buckman, so I thought that's what registered in my head. No, Landman, I finished that. I've gone through all 3 seasons.
Okay,
3 seasons or whatever. I think it's 3 seasons. But anyway, yeah, no, I finished that a couple weeks ago. So no, I'm waiting.
Is it worth watching? Something I may watch.
Oh yeah. Look,
Okay.
I mean, I don't care if you like Billy Bob Thornton or not. Other than that Evening Shade show he did with Burt Reynolds, which was pretty lame. His acting is beyond comparison. He is a hell of an actor, and
I agree.
and Goliath, he was incredible, and he's even better in Landman. This is like a role that was made for him. It's really good. And then seeing what's her name? Is it Ali Larder? I think that's the one. I haven't seen her in years, and she's really good in this role too. It's a lady who is really taking care of herself, and she's coming at a peak for her acting capability right now. I think is really there. Really good series, but I've already watched it all, so I'm just waiting for it to come back.
Oh, it looks like we got somebody directing something at all of us. Common sense conservative is a contradiction of terms. Okay. I don't think so. Matt 330 or 3024, whatever your name is.
So I have inherited my co-host had a YouTube channel with a whole bunch of haters. And since he closed off his YouTube channel because he got tired of YouTube nonsense, you've heard me complain about this a lot, but yet still I'm embracing YouTube. I don't know why, but I figured out there's a way you can use it. It's got its uses, and
Right.
I'm not exactly utilizing them the way I should. At any rate, since he left, they discovered, oh, well, we can catch Billy on TIBN. So now they want to come over here and rail on Billy. What they're going to discover is TIBN's not interested in adolescents, nonsense, or childish behavior. We're just going to block you people.
Right. And you have every right to. Yeah, well, somebody in the comments here a little bit ago said, is John and Billy still dating?
Yeah, that's one of them. That's a hater.
Okay. Yeah, that's
I'll
what I
spare
figured.
you the gruesome details, but yeah, they made images of us, and it's just
Uh-oh,
nonsense. It's
whoa,
adolescent.
Is there any truth to any of this, John? Let's
Obviously
get it spelled,
not.
right?
I mean, I'm not going to go into details because it was disgusting.
I'm kidding.
But,
John is not gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not at all.
I'll say it like this:
Seinfeld.
as far as John's concerned, there's everything wrong for John to be gay. If somebody else wants to be gay, you go ahead and be gay. But
Well, John, of course, we're just talking about an episode of Seinfeld. That's where that came from.
Right.
Okay. It's funny because last weekend Tracy had the kids over for the monthly show where they do old time radio shows, and they were doing Life of Riley and my friend Irma, and there was a bit in there where they had they're reading it off, and they got to the point where it says something about, oh yeah, your mother's gay, and they didn't understand. It's funny because you're seeing a 13-year-old kid reading this, and when they go to read gay, they pause and stop like, oh, am I supposed to say this? And they don't
Your mom's
realize,
happy.
the old term of gay actually
Right.
didn't mean what we think it means today. It's kind of like got to be a stolen word.
Well, it's just like queer. Queer
Right.
meant strange or unusual, and then it was used as a slur against homosexuals, and now it's embraced by the gay community. So that's all in our lifetimes. I mean, how do you keep up with this stuff?
Yeah, the verbiage
Well, you
changes.
remember
Even the
the term-
dictionaries
the-
change the definitions based on
Right.
what society's doing with it.
Well, the term of what they used to call cigarettes too, I guess in the UK, right?
Fag. Still called a fag.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Still called a fag in the UK. Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know where that definition of bundle of sticks comes from, but maybe they meant a bundle of cigarettes. I don't know, a pack.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
Don't
All
know.
right, John. All right, John. You got some haters.
Yeah,
Welcome.
Michael says individuals are responsible for their own protection and need to act accordingly to preserve it. Right on, Michael. That's the thing about it. You want to call 911 and wait 6, 7, 8 minutes for the police to show up, or do you want to cock a gun? I mean, there's no better sound than when you load one in the chamber on a 12 gauge, right?
Oh yeah, racket. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Very distinctive sound.
That doesn't drive a mountain. The blast will.
A 12
Right.
gauge Mossberg. I'm thinking of a purchase. I'm already thinking 12 gauge Mossberg. Sounds good to me.
Look,
There-
you
there's
got to
a-
worry about your own self. You got to worry about your own protection. Cops are nice. We don't cop bash
Dave
around
Chappelle.
here.
Dave Chappelle does a good bit about what he has for home protection. His 12 gauge. And he talks about how it's loaded. He goes, first shot's this, second shot's this. Then he's like buckshot, slug, buckshot. But like the first shot is like a good warning, a bird shot.
Oh, yeah.
It's like it may not kill you, but you better be moving.
The old rock
Then
salt.
the rest will get you. buckshot.
The old
slug,
rock
buckshot.
salt. That's the rock salt is friendly shot. The bird shot's like I'm had enough with you, and the buckshot's okay. We're done.
Right. Yeah, the slug is you've gotten too close into my house, and I'm not retreating anymore. I'm going to blast you in the chest.
Yeah, you're done. You get that, you're done.
Yep.
I've actually seen video of that. I remember news video where that happened with law enforcement apprehending somebody, and yeah, that guy went down hard. He was done.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, don't mess with the cops, man. Yeah,
No, they don't play games.
The cosmic microwave background is back in the broadcast.
I
don't know
can
where
hear
it's
it.
coming from.
Oh no.
It'll probably be here the
let's
rest of the show.
Let's let it be. Just let it see, because we might lose you again, John.
It's just one of the. We've had this happen even in my home system and stuff. Between Billy and I, we get this conflict of audio, and we'll get this. Basically, it's an audio crash. You get this almost like sounds like remember that old ad Memorex, and almost like the glass breaking, and so then we lose audio for a split second, and then it comes back, and technology is just interesting, I guess.
Now, have we had a show since Chuck Norris passed away, or was that when he passed away, the last show?
I think that was the last show. He just passed
Yeah.
away, and then we were talking about it.
Yeah, I thought we talked about it. That was kind of shocking. He was in pretty good shape there, but to see Chuck Norris go, yeah, it just everybody's got a Best Buy date, a sell by date. So you gotta keep that in mind and get the most out of life. I think some people lose sight of that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway,
You never know.
that's for darn sure. You never know. So I take it very seriously. Anyway, so John, are you going to watch the president tonight?
I think he's coming on after the show, right? In a half hour.
Right after. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, people get out there and load up your YouTube channel for the president, whitehouse.gov, right? I think it's White House on YouTube, and get it ready. But don't go anywhere from here, though. We want you to hang up for the next half hour.
Right. Is somebody
Well, I'll be
mentioned
covered.
in the comments that is he going to mention Cuba in his remarks? Who knows what he's going to mention? But he may mention a whole host of things.
Basically, all they can do is speculate. Nobody knows.
I think if you're concerned about whether Cuba is going to be mentioned, one thing for sure about that is all you have to do is hear a speech by Marco Rubio. Pretty much guaranteed he'll mention Cuba.
Yeah, for sure.
You guys
Yeah,
ready
yeah.
for 2028? You got your Marjorie Taylor Greene hats and go
Oh,
Marjorie.
No.
No, we good. So she quits Congress because she got some pressure. It's like, why would you not just ride out the rest of your time in office unless there's something on you that you just had to resign? I don't understand.
Yeah, she leaves and leaves us one less member of the Congress. That's one
Yeah.
more vote. We've got two. It costs us 2 votes in essence.
She was
Right,
being
yeah.
spiteful when she left, and that might have been part of her spite. But at the same time, if she wants to run for president, I'm looking at that going, you just abandoned your constituent base that you asked to lead or you asked to represent, and you abandon them right in the middle of your term, what
Yep.
makes you think I would want to vote for you to be the president of the United States if you don't make a commitment to see it through?
Well, look, there's one thing to abandon for a good reason. She just abandoned because she threw her toys out of her crib, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it made no sense.
I don't want to
me.
pay anymore.
Made no sense. But a lot of these people that got elected around the time she got elected, it was a lot of these social media, I'm saying all the right things that people just want me to say, and they got elected because there were said things that people wanted to hear, regardless if there was nothing behind it. And I don't think there was anything behind what she said. She just wanted to get elected, got in there. She had to get on the president's coattails big time, or else she would have nothing else. I don't think she had much of her own ideas. So she had to basically get on someone's coattails. And of course, once she abandoned the president, she has nothing else to lean on at that point.
Can you imagine her State of the Union address? How many F-bombs do you think she would put in there? She's the only person I know got away with swearing like that, using those type of words on national television.
I don't know. I think Trump is pretty crass when he wants to be, so topping Trump would be a challenge.
No, Trump will drop a couple words out there, like BS, full words. But the F-bomb, I've never heard him do that.
No, but I have seen him flip a guy off at a factory in Michigan.
Hey, that was classic. I think he was just scratching the side of his head. He wasn't. Yeah. So, Chris, do you have a hater on your channel too?
Oh, it looks like he's got several.
I've had lots of haters over the years. Yeah.
Here's one who says he's a liar and a thief. I don't think so. I don't think the colonel's a liar or a thief, my friend. No.
The haters.
I don't think so.
They're out in full force. They're out in full force because it is a midterm election. They want the left to take the House and the Senate. They want to block and obstruct Trump. And if we let these grapers, these Nick Fuentes types, get away with their nonsense, this is exactly what's happened there. It's divide and conquer. Do you really think somebody from Chicago area, I mean, I'm talking about within 10 miles of Chicago, born and raised, is a far-right extremist? Or do you think maybe he's just shilling the right?
So that is not one of my followers. That's one of you and Billy's people that came on there. He just came into my channel. Listen, dude, you've got some serious mental health issues. I would recommend that you seek care immediately.
Amen.
And I'd also recommend that you stop self-pleasuring yourself, because that leads to paralysis. And if you do that in the bathroom, you could go blind. So I'm just saying, stop doing that, because a liar and a thief. You're a piece of human feces. How you like them, buddy? You like them apples? A liar and a thief. I've never stolen from anybody, and I haven't lied to anybody. It's lunatics like this that sour the experience for people online, because they're so self-loathing that they have to project their internal failures and their self-hatred onto others. It's really sad. I see who he is. He looks like a pretty pathetic-looking loser boy from his picture here. In his car, he took a picture. It looks like he's got like a barber's, thing on where they cut your hair, they put around your neck there. But actually, it's some sad little, fuchsia-colored shirt that he's wearing. Anyway. All right. So look, buddy, we can dish it out too in a PG environment. If you want to hear the real comments, I'll lay it on thick for you on my own program. Anyway, yeah, that's one of your
inviting the haters in. I like
that. That's one of your. That's
not mine. He come. That come from somewhere else. That's unappeared. My.
But you know what this is. You know what this is, John. I see it all too often. It's. I mean, look, this is nothing against the community, but it's these gay men that want to date us. It's what it's all about. They're desperate. They're desperate to date us. And this is, it's like, think back when you're little kids, boys and girls pretend to hate each other just to, so that they can wind up, and that's what's happening here. These gay men are desperate to get a date, and they behave in this fashion.
So now that you say that, Billy's hater, his main hater there out in New York, constantly makes homosexual references towards Billy, which indicates that maybe he's got something going on personally. And then you see all of his little followers that become Billy's haters coming over here doing the same thing. And it kind of, Chris, you're probably onto something. There's probably a party going on with them. And that's fine over there in New York. They can do what they want to. It's their business, But they should keep it behind closed doors, because the rest of us don't need to know.
Well, I see that these pathetic, what do they get together and, I mean, this is, we are on air, terrestrial. I mean, there's two words, one begins with a circle and the other begins with something else. I won't finish that. Do they get together and have these activities? Do they go camping, in the Catskills and do this? I mean, I really wonder.
Well, I think you're giving this too much thought, brother. Probably best to move on. What else we got going on here? Artemis. Yeah, I heard you guys talking about that. Artemis is launched today. They are on their way to the moon. I think that's what, a 3-4 day trip or something tops. It doesn't take long, I don't think, to get to the
No,
moon.
it's the trip back that takes a while. It's a 10-day mission. They'll splash down after 10 days.
So okay, yeah. Round trip is 10 days. That's pretty fast. You think about it for the distance and stuff. That should be pretty good. But what do you think we're going to hear from the flat earthers? Oh my God! The Earth, it's round. It's really round. What do we do? Or is it the disc side of it, and they just saw the top of it?
Right. Yeah. This is just the disc side of it. Yeah, or something. I don't know.
But where's the snow wall they're talking about?
It's so
The ice
weird.
wall.
Yeah.
I think they
don't
watched
get
one
it.
too many of Game of Thrones with the ice wall.
And going to space is not real. It's fake or whatever. The moon's not 50,000-60,000 miles away. It's much closer than you think. It's nonsense. It's crazy.
Isn't it made of blue cheese? That's what I heard.
Right. And the cow jumped over it,
probably.
probably.
I just the other night lying in bed and reached out the window and grabbed some moon dust. You know what they say about moon dust and all.
No, what do they say about moon dust? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just going there. I figured I could put it on my ceiling and make stars and stuff.
No, but John, I don't think you got a chance to see it because you're setting up a studio. But the launch was epic. It was really awesome.
No, it wasn't a night launch, right? What time did it go off? I thought it was.
No, it's about 6:30,
Afternoon.
6:36, 6:35, something like that.
Yeah.
And it was still daylight. But the Space Launch System, the SLS, which is disposable rockets, people are like, are those Elon Musk? No, those things are one-time use. They're done. They're done and dusted. So this was the first time that they've done this, a manned space flight with the SLS, if I'm not mistaken. No, in fact, I know it is. But they even up to launch, we weren't sure it was going to go because it's always dicey. They actually had a couple technical issues. One of the batteries failed on the system that gives autonomous control to the capsule. So they checked it and they said it actually functioned, just the sensor was bad, and they launched. But they launched with no issues. It was incredible. Can you imagine all that thrust throwing you into space at that speed, escaping Earth's gravity? That's got to be crazy.
Oh, it's incredible, man. I mean, you know how much fuel you burn when you're initially trying to leave gravity, when you're leaving the ground, and the higher you get, you start gaining some speed. I forgot what it is. They gain so much speed when they get up in the upper atmosphere. It's incredible.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, you get up to over 20,000 miles per hour. I mean, it's just crazy. In fact, I haven't looked since it took off, but I need to go back and take a look and see if they've got updates on that. The last I saw, they're getting ready to deploy the solar panels, and they have to verify they actually have that so they can, keep going. But it's I always cover these things, especially SpaceX and NASA. Astronomy and space is something that really matters to me.
No, it's awesome, man. See, I grew up in a little town of New Smyrna Beach, Florida, which is probably about 25 miles from Cape Canaveral as a crow flies. And night launches are awesome. You're driving down the interstate, didn't even know there was a launch. And all of a sudden, the sky just lights up bright, like, oh, crap. The shuttle just went up.
Right. I remember I was
come in is insane.
When I was stationed at Fort Hood a long time ago, I was at what was called PLDC, Primary Leadership Development Course. It's changed the name a few times since then. But I remember watching off in the sky at night, and I see this big fireball coming, and I'm like, what's that? It gets closer and closer and closer and closer, and I'm like, oh, that's the space shuttle landing at Houston. It went right across Fort Hood. It was beautiful, just watching that thing
was
come
this a daytime?
No, it was nighttime.
Oh, was that
You see
night?
this big fireball just coming across Texas sky, central Texas, heading to Houston. I'm like, oh, that's right. Having been away from the news for a few days, being at PLDC, I had to remember, okay, the space shuttle's coming back in that evening, and got to watch it come in. It was kind of cool.
I sit there in the daytime watching the shuttle shoot across the sky down there in Florida on my roof. I'm sitting there working on my roof, and all of a sudden I look up. You hear the pop when it comes in the atmosphere. It'll pop twice. I've actually reached for a door and had the door shaking the door jam when the shuttle re-entered the atmosphere. And I'm looking across, watching it fly at an enormous amount of speed as it's shooting across the sky.
Oh, yeah.
Glowing white. It's literally glowing white in the sky. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is so cool. And it's funny is, the heat suppression or whatever it is called. When I was at actually the vehicle assembly building there, this was before one of the last launches, and Atlantis was in the vehicle assembly building. I think it was the last launch. And a guy, took the stuff that goes on the bottom of it, heated it up with a torch, and you got to put your hand right on it. It felt like it was room temperature. It was wild.
Yeah.
And he put the blowtorch on it for a few minutes. Put my hand right on it, nothing.
Well, that's
Well,
a good way. That's dissipating heat. That's for darn sure.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah,
that's
that's what
wild.
it's designed to do. I don't know what material
Right.
they use for that, or if it's a
Yeah.
secret. But yeah, they got plates of it that they mounted on the shuttles, and that's what happened.
Yeah,
Was it the Challenger that when the plates came off when they
Well,
re-entered?
the ceramic thermal the blocks that they put on there, one came loose. What happened? It was damaged because the O-ring
Right.
was not connected properly. That was a seal between the rockets when they took off, and debris fell off there and it hit those things and damaged it. And then they came off. Yeah, it was just a mess. So right now, actually, NASA's showing live footage from the Orion space capsule, the spacecraft of the ship in space, and you can see one of the panels here that's partially deployed. I don't know if it's fully deployed. Signals breaking up occasionally here with some of the data not coming through, but that's pretty awesome shot. You can see the back end of the space capsule now in space. Oops, it just went to the blue screen of death from Microsoft. I see Microsoft is involved in the Artemis program now.
Watch out.
By blue screen of death, you just mean computer-wise, right? We're not talking about
I just did a
crap.
screen capture that. I'm gonna post that on Twitter and see. Look, Microsoft joined the NASA space program. Those who had suffered through Windows know what we're talking about there from way back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, guys, tonight I'm going to excuse myself about 5 minutes or so early before the broadcast ends, if you don't mind. So because I'm covering President Trump and I need to get set up for that. But John, you didn't see my cap there. You're too busy fixing the studio. Did you see what my cap said?
U.S. Army Colonel retired. Yeah.
Pretty cool, huh? This is a custom made one. The guy had it made out there at Nellis Air Force Base. He had a couple on the shelf. I'm like, hey, I can't resist that. I got to get one of those. That's pretty cool. I can walk around and act like the Grand Poobah, you know?
The Grand Poobah. It's not
The
that
Grand
tall, but
Poobah.
It actually looks like it fits well. It looks like it's
Did you see?
it's not one of those ones that just stick up. You know the way they got the front of the cap that sticks up real high up in the air.
Oh, I've got a couple of those veteran caps, and they stick up. Yeah.
I just like
you can't
that.
even you can't even form it.
All right,
Anyway.
so John, get ready for this. This is what I picked up in Vegas. Hang on.
I saw a video.
Flagship store for Ariat.
He's a cowboy now. Here we go.
There you go.
There
With
you
your
go.
6 guns.
Had this thing shaped for me there, right there in the shop. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah, it's a nice.
All you got to do is you do like this, be the cowboy on Fremont Street, right?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I like
That's
Ariat.
cool.
It's a good brand, and it was a hell of a bargain. They actually gave a military discount, which was nice of them. I appreciate that. But yeah, I love that cap. I came out of the Golden Knights game at the T-Mobile Arena on Monday night where they beat Vancouver. I left a little bit early because I said, let me go by the Ariat store. It's on the way back. Ariat store. It's on the way back to my apartment that I had there on the Strip. I said, because I probably won't go next morning. And I was right. I didn't go the next morning. So I went and then I got it and then military discount. And I was trying to get the right size because, of course, they're fitted. And I couldn't find the right size. My eyes were kind of messed up. And a young man found the hat and he shaped it for me. It was a nice experience.
Very cool.
Good thing I didn't have more time because I probably would have spent myself into debt. That place, so many cool shirts and cowboy boots and stuff. But I did get myself that nice hat. I hope you like it, John.
I do.
Well, I'll be wearing it when I come to New England.
I saw you did a video with the cowboy hat on. I was going through YouTube and I saw that you did a video and I'm going, Chris is wearing a cowboy hat. That's different. I was wondering what brought it on.
Well, I've had this one for ages. This is also Ariat, but this is a straw hat. This is more like something you want to wear when you go to the stockyards because it's hot, keep the dust off and that sort of thing. Whereas the other one's more kind of a fancy hat,
Go out line dancing and all that.
I'm a fancy cowboy. That's right.
I think he's a city slicker cowboy. What do you think, Todd?
Oh, great movies, by the way. I love City Slickers and City Slickers too.
Slicker. You remember I was a dairy farmer. I'm a country boy originally.
Oh, that's right. You did grow up
on a farm. Yep, I'm a country boy originally. It's looks can be deceiving. I mean, I wasn't always this devastatingly handsome, stud. That was for the hate wankers who are, in love with
I think they went away after you told them a few things.
He's not a real cowboy. That's stolen valor. Not, Okay.
There's valor in claiming to be a cowboy. I didn't know that. No, but I think now I can qualify to be an extra on Yellowstone or 1923 or 1873.
Got the facial hair.
Oh, somebody's asking if it was a Vegas hat trip or a hat trick.
Oh,
that's funny.
a little hockey there. There we go.
That's a nice
Pun on
play on
hockey,
words
yeah.
there. Yeah, Mike is
I
here in
like that.
Pennsylvania. Is one of my viewers from Philadelphia. That's a nice play on words there. Yeah, John, the Vegas trip went pretty well. Met with refugees out there and interviewed a director of Refugee Center. Had a good experience. Took one of the South African families out to the Hoover Dam, and I did. You probably missed this because you were doing things. I already showed it to Todd. This is my damn hat.
Well, Mad Max said, "Did you get
good.
another? Is this another damn hat?" Whenever you showed your cowboy hat.
Yeah, for the listeners out there, it's spelled DAM.
Right. Yeah.
I also have a T-shirt that matches it in this battleship gray that says "This is my damn shirt." T-shirt.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the Hoover Dam, you got to remember that that was a massive construction effort back in the 1930s. And a lot of people died on that construction site. Boy, if we had that today, people would lose their minds. There'd be lawsuits. We'd never be able to build a Hoover Dam today with all the political records.
Did they still
That's
have
right.
cars go through there, or is
Yeah, I drove across it, and then I was going to get out and walk back, and the guy said, "Sir, why don't you just go back the other side? It's a much shorter walk. Plus, the gift shop's over." I said, "Yeah, no, I just wanted to show them these folks because I've been to Hoover Dam previously, but I just wanted, So he didn't charge me the parking; it was $10. I drove the other side and paid the $10 the other side, parked in the shade, and walked downstairs. So the family I took there was very kind. They bought me a gift, and this for the audience, I'll read this. It's a warning sign, like you put up in a building. It says, "My sense of humor may hurt your damn feelings." Of course, damn is spelled damn, D-A-M-N, not D-A-M-N. So this will be prominent in my studio because, some of the people's feelings get hurt. There are a lot of Karens out there, so we don't want to hurt their feelings. So we put this up as a disclaimer. So, your feelings may get hurt. You might want to go elsewhere.
Yeah. I remember in middle school, whenever we toured the local dam here, it's actually called Boone Dam, named for Daniel Boone. And we got away with those jokes all day of like, when are we going on the damn tour and all this stuff. And for that day, you got away with cursing in school,
Well, you weren't cursing though. That's right. You weren't.
No,
cursing.
that's true.
I mean,
It was a technicality there. Yeah.
I know in your head you were, but to the teacher,
Right.
it's like, okay.
And the kid in a seventh grader's head, you're cursing, but in reality, you're really not.
Of course, I once told my nephew's mother that if he's going to use alternative words, then intention is applied. So it's still cursing. My nephew probably hated me. I'm throwing him under the bus.
Yeah, well, there's some young kids that I know that won't flip the bird, but they'll do like this with the pinky finger, and this is their replacement for the bird. I'm like, by the way, you're still flipping me the bird, Anna.
It's the same thing. Your intention is still there.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Daniel Boone. There's a town, Boone, in Maryland, because some of them live there, Daniel Boone's family, as you head out towards, the gap up there going towards Cumberland. But it's just west of Frederick, and not a lot of people from there. Very old town, been there for a long time. But Daniel Boone, quite an American icon. Daniel Boone, Davy Crockett, these are well known. Jim Bowie,
Yeah, David Crockett, born just a few miles from where I'm at right now, in Greene County.
Zebulon Pike, Kit Carson.
And just a couple years before you, right?
Excuse me?
I said just a few years before him.
Oh my goodness. What is this? An April Fool's joke? What's going on there?
It is April Fool's Day. I mean, we got to get one in
yeah.
there. I mean, come on.
It is April Fool's.
I am full of bad humor. I'll tell you that.
Wouldn't that be something if Trump was just punking us all tonight?
right, yeah. So what's Mad Max saying here? He says Colonel has a lot of Bormacies. What is this?
Boer Micey. Micey is girl. Boer is farm. It's farm girls. So
I
a lot of farm girls. Yeah,
right,
so it's kind of like,
that's funny.
Remember all the ads a few years ago for farmersonly.com?
Yes. Okay, that's funny. So he's zinging you right now. Okay. I love it.
No, it's a running joke. A Boer Micey is a farm girl.
I'm just kind of curious what biltong is. Or should I be saying that?
No, biltong is correct. Biltong is dried strips of meat. It's similar to beef jerky, but much tastier than beef jerky.
Yeah, I'll take some.
Yeah. No, Davy Crockett wasn't with the Wild Wild West, the Wild Frontier. Davy Crockett was in Tennessee, Kentucky, and then made his way to D.C. as a congressman, and then gave up on that mess, and then went back home and picked up stakes and went down to Texas, and then he died at the Alamo.
Yeah, so David Crockett during the time of Jacksonian era, Andrew Jackson, President Jackson, very popular, Tennessean as well. Butted heads with Davy Crockett, and Davy Crockett was on the losing end of that, and of course lost his seat in Congress. And he said, "For my constituents, they can go to HELL, and I'll go to Texas." And he did, and died.
What he did. Yep, along with Travis and Jim Bowie at the Battle of the Alamo. Before I go off the air real quick, one of the things about the out of the Alamo, I presume you may have been there, Todd, John. I don't know if you've been there,
I've
but
been there. Yep.
the thing that struck me is that I'm almost taller than the building. You always have this impression, especially if you watch the John Wayne movie about Davy Crockett, the Alamo.
Right.
That it was a big structure, but it's a tiny, tiny little structure. It's amazing that they held out for 5 minutes, let alone several days, against Santa Anna and 15 or 25,000 Mexican soldiers who had cannons. It's pretty impressive. But as I understand it, apparently Davy Crockett, or maybe it was Jim Bowie, wasn't dead when they stormed the place, and then they just murdered him.
Went into the barracks where he was sick, I believe, or ill, and he had a fever, and then he was laying there. And on one of the movies, they show it where he leans up and shoots twice, and then they kill him.
Right, but the historical record, there's argument that he was brought out alive before Santa Anna, and they had him for several hours, and then they murdered him.
Probably
that would surprise me.
I've seen different things, and of course, nobody knows exactly how everybody died at the end once the Mexicans took control, because there were several people that were still alive. I mean, that did nothing. Of course, the ashes are they burned them, and of course the ashes are in like a big urn there in a little niche there in the Alamo.
Yeah, but Davy Crockett, an American legend, to say the least. All right, gents, I'm going to drop off if you don't mind.
Right.
I've got to get ready for President Trump's broadcast, and we'll chat about that next week. We'll see if the war's over or if it's going to keep going. Thanks a lot.
All
Thanks
right.
for getting
Go
everything
Trump,
fixed.
go
in the studio
Mega.
there, John. All right, bye-bye, guys.
Bye,
See you,
Chris.
Colonel. All right, good deal. Colonel Chris Wyatt's going to break off there, folks. Had some technical difficulties with John there at the first hour. Now we're fixed. Colonel Chris Wyatt, they're going to be broadcasting and talking about President Trump's speech tonight. So if you're one of his viewers, one of his listeners who's still with us, be advised he will be coming back live here in probably 7 minutes, as the president's supposed to go live around 9 p.m. this evening. So as soon as it's over, I'm going to probably switch over on YouTube and watch it, or maybe bring it up on TV. I don't know. What about you, John? You going to watch tonight?
I think I'll before I do some of my work here after the show, I'll pull it up on my phone so it's ready to go. So Trump, like everybody else, they'll have that live video playing there on YouTube, and it'll be half hour, 40 minutes before the screen will actually show some activity, and
right.
So we'll see, because I do need to get to sleep sometime at a reasonable hour. I do get up early in the morning. I got dogs to walk and things that I have to do. So
Right.
four hours of sleep every night doesn't cut it. I got too many schnauzers.
Schnauzer, okay, good deal.
Yeah.
They give you a hard time?
Oh, there are many schnauzers.
Yeah,
something.
They have a lot of energy, right?
They do. They're incredible. Yeah. Both of them are rescues. We got them both out of, Adopt a Pet or something like that. And
okay,
it was
good deal.
Pretty awesome little venture getting them.
I think before I ever get a dog again or something, I would get like a rescue, like an elderly dog, give them a nice place to stay for the last, few months of their life or something like that before I would commit to getting a young pup again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, when you get older, the energy of a small dog is a lot to take. We were at my dog, mini schnauzers again. So the wife and I get these two dogs about 2 weeks apart, and they took to each other. And one of them's 3 years old, and the other one was at the time 9 months or something, wasn't very old, just a puppy. And so we left them in the house, went to go out to do something. We come back, we went to meet some friends for lunch or breakfast, and we come back, it was dinner, I think. We come back, and they got into Tylenol. And we're sitting going, we're pill counting now. We're going, oh crap, how many were in there? She goes, well, I gave one to such and such. I took one, and we didn't know. We spent a lot of time at the vet. We just got these dogs, and we don't know if what happened, but yeah, they got into a bag that had a little bottle of. There weren't very many, and there was supposed to be a bottle of 10, and I think we found 6, and we figured 3 were used. So yeah, it was an interesting night that night.
So yeah, maybe 1 or 2 got eaten, or 3 or 4, but yeah,
it's possible none, but
none because they're so bitter, probably,
Yeah, no, just chance of luck. It was probably none, but we went and had them. They pumped their stomachs and stuff like that just to make sure, and had to do poison control. Spent out a chunk of change, Just you've already got the dogs and spent a bunch of money on them, and then that happened, and we're like, okay, we're gonna have to watch you two more carefully.
Yeah. So Mad Max here says he's going to buy my book. I appreciate that. Every dollar counts. I donate all of it to charity. It's going to be donated to our American Legion Be the One to end veteran suicide. So all that money goes to that. So I appreciate it. Thank you. And hopefully, like the Colonel is going to be interviewing him at some point very soon, I believe, right?
I do not know.
I think that's what he said. He said he's going to interview him on something. Yeah. So I look forward to watching that as well. And of course, the Colonel did in the comments here added his YouTube channel that he's going to be live on here in about 4 minutes. And of course, we think we got about 2 minutes left of the show before we get our heart out with the bottom of the hour news, right?
We'll be top of the hour, but yeah,
top of the hour, bottom of the hour, top of the hour.
Yeah. We don't do bottom of the hour around here. We just talk right through and.
Right. Yeah.
Billy does like to break it up every 15 minutes, and it seems kind of a nice way to do a show. It kind of gives you a little so you can break up your conversation, do a quick ad, and then come back in and do a restart. It seems like a good way to transition and stuff in a show.
And that's fine, But I like the way we free flow for the bulk of the hour here.
We do a panel discussion, so it's kind of nice this way because we just kind of flow right along, talk about whatever comes to mind.
Right, yeah, it's a free-flowing discussion. It's not a matter of we have to just talk about politics every time. Talk about sports, talk about space, talk about everything that makes up life, makes it interesting, make it worth living, right? The things that we talk about, whether they interest you or not, they interest us.
Yeah, it's all about us, man. That's why we're on stage.
No, I'm just saying, if you don't want to watch or listen to it, that's fine. You go on to the next thing. No need to pile on and call people names for people you don't even know. You know nothing about these people.
That's just that we do it because we want to do it. If people want to take part in it by listening or even comment here, we'll address comments as we can, or you can call in if you'd like to. The numbers in the description, and we'll have a decent conversation with people. And we don't give a crap what side of the aisle they're on. We'll just talk to you about whatever you want to talk about, as long as it's clean and appropriate. That's how we do things here, but we don't worry about views and stuff like that. It's not like we're chasing views out there. I can have a YouTube channel with I'd rather have 3 actual listeners that care than have 1 million listeners that don't. They're just there to make fun, poke fun, or just be jackwagons or just don't care. You're not finding chat bots here. We don't go to bot farms and
no. And the followers we have are legitimate, real people. Whether it's mine, the Colonel's, yours, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Real people, and that's what we want to talk about. The what we care about. We want to just talk about it, and if people care to listen, that's it. We're not trying to force anybody. We're not trying to come up with some weird conspiracy theories to get you to believe or anything like that. We're just talking about what's going on out there in the world.
Well, we can talk about secession. You want us to see the Union, Todd?
Nah, I'm good. I'm good where we're at right now. Here's what I'm like Gallagher. Remember Gallagher with the sledge-o-matic?
Yeah.
I don't want to overthrow the government. I just want to fire all of them. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I want to fire all of them and start over here.
I agree. Let's get a fresh start. A lot of people agree with that sentiment. Ladies and gentlemen, that'd be the end of our show this evening. Sorry about all the hiccups. We'll do better next week. Join us next week. And until then, have a good